Well, we're not.
Oh, we ain't done yet. No. All right. We heard that Iowa likes to have a good time.
That's what we heard.
That's what we heard out there. So what I need everybody is to get on up. Come on. Everybody get on up. Póngase de pie, mi gente. Póngase de pie. Órale. I need to see everybody's hands up. I want to see everybody's hands up. There it is. Now move your fingers like this, like this.
Oh, yeah.
Now move your shoulders like this, like this. Now move your hips like this, like this. All right, I feel good, I feel good.
Getting too sexy.
All right. On the count of 3, I want everybody to make the loudest grito you've ever done. I want Bernie to hear it. I want Bernie to hear it out there in them impeachment offices. All right, here we go, y'all. Ready? 1, 2, 3, hey! My mic isn't even on, everybody. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. All right, here we go, y'all. We're going to do some chants right here. We're going to be doing this all night. So everybody follow along. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. When I say sí se, y'all say puede. Sí se.
Puede.
Sí se.
Puede.
When I say people, y'all say power. People.
Power.
People.
Power.
When I say Theo, y'all say Bernie. Theo.
Bernie.
Theo.
Bernie.
When I say Theo, y'all say Bernie. Theo.
Bernie.
Theo. Hey! I want everybody moving hips. Come on. Everybody having a good time right now. Put your hands up. Manos arriba, manos arriba. Come on. Well, you know, it's only our second song, so as they say, let's keep the party going. Here we go. Que te vaya bien, que te vaya mal, que chun bien te va a besar. All right, whether you're sitting down or standing up, hands up, hands up. Unless you got a video recorder and you get in my good side, I want to see hands up. It's nice and easy. It's just kind of side to side. It's just kind of side to side. So everybody follow along. Come on. Everybody follow along. It's going to go like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. What you gonna do when we come for you? 1, 2, 1, 2. What you gonna do? Say hey! Miedo, pero voy. Ya me voy. Para norte ya me voy. Ya me voy. Por ahí voy, ya me voy. Ya me voy. Sin dinero ya me voy, mamá. Ya me voy para allá. Ya me voy. Ya me voy. Ya me voy. Ya, ya, ya. Put your hands up, Iowa. I want to feel your energy.
Yes, la cumbia chicana.
No te vayas, mi querido, con cariño te suplico, no te vayas.
No te vayas.
A morir en la montaña.
No te vayas.
El desierto no te
No
ronda.
te vayas.
Ni tampoco Arizona,
No te vayas. No te vayas. No te vayas. No te vayas. No, 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 no.
¡Que vivan los inmigrantes! No te vayas, no te vayas, mi madre, no te vayas.
No te vayas,
Con la cara maquillada,
no te vayas,
con la negra minifalda,
no te vayas,
con la boca muy rosada, ma. No te vayas, mamá.
no te vayas, no te vayas, no, no.
Hey, come on, y'all. We have 4 days to the Caucus, and I want everybody to be running around. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Ay, ¿quieren bailar o quieren llorar? Los dos, pues, órale, está bien, somos chillones también. ¿Qué dice? What we got? You see, this is a love song. And we have to remember that this movement is not about hate. It's about what? It's about what? It's about love, y'all. This song is inspired by the moon. You see, because the moon, every night she comes out, every single night, and she shines her light on everybody. Everybody. She don't care where you were born. She don't care who your mama is. She don't care what language you speak. She don't care who you love or where you go pray. The moon will shine her light on you. And we're not like that, us humans. Or maybe we should be. And so this song reminds us of what we got to be like. And the most beautiful thing about the moon is that she shines brightest when it's dark. And sometimes it could feel real dark out there. And that's okay, because that's our time to shine.
Walk with me, Luna. Walk with me, Luna. So the story goes that my heart met yours.
I grew up with, well, my mom is the oldest of 14 kids, and 6 of her brothers and sisters are deaf. So I grew up signing and learned a lot about deaf culture. And I just love my deaf people, my deaf family. And this is the way we clap in deaf community, aquí, like that, right there. So to know who you are, you got to know who you were. Because to know where you're going, you got to know where you're at. It's all connected. We're going to share a song right here. It's 400 years old. We're going to go in the past, fly to the present, and hopefully think about tomorrow. This is Chocoyotzi Morasa.
Arocho yo soy, señores, y ahora acabo de llegar. Con mi instrumento en la mano lo voy a tocar. Los versos del fandango les voy a presentar. Y no mires esa flor que navega en tu cabello. No me mires con horror con esos ojos tan bellos. Una mirada de amor quiero que me des con ellos. Una mirada de amor quiero que me des con ellos.
Con la agostillo un mestizo y jarana de madera, y jarana de madera. Soy versado el fronterizo, cantando en la frontera, por mi pueblo que no quiso abandonar su bandera, por mi pueblo que no quiso abandonar su bandera.
Quisiera ser mariposa para poder ir a volar. Pero para qué quiero alas, digo para qué quiero alas, si vuelo al zapatear, si vuelo al zapatear.
Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them. We are not from here. We come from another world. We come from the land of the water. I come from the sun, I come from the moon. Sky is my father, like the flowers I bloom. I look like my mother, her skin is dark brown. Yo, I look like my mother, cause I came from the ground. My heart beats in rhythms, cause it's made like a drum. And when I spit rhymes, all my ancestors come. We sing songs about the past, about the present, about our pain. And when we get together, we say, not in our name, not in our name, not in our name. And when when we get together, we say not in our name. From Gaza to Honduras, Guatemala, Vietnam. Dropping this verse for them who dropping bombs. Those creating borders, taking away my mom. Boy, the children be rising, and we rise to this. My name is Emmett Till.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
My name is Emmett Till.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
I didn't whistle at that woman. I ain't causing no harm. I need y'all to remember my name, 'cause it's 7 generations long. My name is Trayvon Martin. I ain't do nothing wrong. My name is Trayvon Martin. I ain't do nothing wrong. My name is Trayvon Martin. I ain't do nothing wrong. I was just walking home. I ain't causing no harm. I need y'all to remember my name, 'cause it's 7 generations long. My name is Standing Rock.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
My name is Standing Rock.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
My name is Standing Rock.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
I'm just protecting my water. I ain't causing no harm. I need y'all to remember my name, 'cause it's 7 generations long. My name is Sandra Bland. My name is Sandra Bland.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
My name is Sandra Bland. I ain't do nothing wrong. My name is Sandra Bland. I ain't do nothing wrong. I was just driving home. I ain't causing no harm. I need y'all to remember my name, 'cause it's 7 generations long. Hey!
A todos los luchadores.
En este jardín de flores, hoy les voy a regalar. En este jardín de flores, hoy les voy a regalar. En este jardín de flores, hoy les voy a regalar. Hoy les voy a regalar. Hoy les voy a regalar las variedades de mis sabores.
Thank you.
A big round of applause for Denise Carlos and the crew right here.
I'm getting bronchitis, so bear with me.
Give it up
Thank
for
you.
bronchitis, everybody!
Woo! Thank you.
The only way we appreciate our voice is when we lose it. Then you really appreciate your voice. So, but we want to thank Carlos for coming out on this trip. That her voice was hurting. We've been on tour, and we're like, yo, but we got to make it. We got to make it out here, you know? And so, if someone in the back can tell me how much time we got, I just want to make sure we don't go over time. But this next song right here is called Señor Presidente. Señor Presidente. Si fuera presidente. Right? And so I need everybody to sing the chorus with me. So I need y'all to repeat after me if you can. It goes like this. Me gusta la lima.
Me gusta la lima.
No. Let's do that one more time. Choco, you ready for this?
I'm ready,
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready, bro.
All right. Let's do this. Here we go. Everybody repeat after me. Me gusta la lima.
Me gusta la lima.
Me gusta limón.
Me gusta limón.
Pero no me gusta
Pero no me gusta
tanta corrupción.
tanta corrupción.
Me gusta la lima.
Me gusta la lima.
Me gusta limón.
Me gusta limón.
Pero no me gusta
Pero no me gusta
tanta corrupción.
tanta corrupción.
That means we love Iowa in Spanish. If you don't know what that means, you know what I mean?
He's just kidding.
Now it means we love lemons and we love limes, but we can't stand corruption. You down with that? You down with that? All right. So I want to do like open mic night right here. Everybody snap with me right here. Yeah. I want the world to see us snapping together. Because if we can't even snap together, how are we going to build a neighborhood together? A state, a country together, if we can't even snap together? So first things first.
Señor presidente, le vengo a avisar, no tengo papeles para trabajar. Presidente, pregunto por qué matan al moreno con piel de café. Ay, ay, Si fuera presidente, honestamente, si fuera presidente, para mi gente, si fuera presidente, honestamente, presidente, para mi gente.
Check, what would I do? I'd roll up my sleeves as I face the congregation. First thing I do, free education. Every third period, we practice meditation. Every third period, we practice meditation like a proud Robin Hood. I take from the rich, give to the poor, so my little sister y'all ain't hungry no more. Ain't hungry no more. And my first lady would be my mom, cause she'd smack me in the head if I was dropping bombs. I'm gonna sing that one more time for my people in the back. Here we go. And my first lady would be my mom, cause she'd smack me in the head if I was dropping bombs. And I free my poor black and brown kids that got caught up in 3 strikes. And when they get out, I'm gonna give everybody a free bike. So we can ride to our future, not to our past. Ride to our future, not to our past. And if you don't know, now you know. 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 Here we go. Me gusta la lima, me gusta limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción. Me gusta la lima, me gusta limón, pero no me gusta tanta
Si fuera
corrupción.
presidente, honestamente, si fuera presidente, para mi gente, si fuera presidente, honestamente, presidente, para mi gente.
All right. I want to know what y'all would do if you were president. You already heard from me. You already heard from me, but I want to know from you. What would you do if you were president for one day? And you could do one thing to make life better for everybody. What would you do? I want a volunteer. Are you volunteer? Everybody, we got a volunteer in the house. Can you please come up here? Can you please come up here? Can you tell everybody your name?
Steven.
Stephen. Stephen's the president right now and would like to address the constituency. Stephen, what's the one thing you would do to make sure life is better for everybody?
Today, we officially have Medicare for all.
Thank you, Stephen. All right. I need a volunteer over here. I need a volunteer. You down? All right. We got a volunteer. Get over here. Get over here. All right. Homie, can you tell everybody your name?
My name's Philip.
All right, Philip. Where you from, Philip?
I'm from South Florida.
Damn, all right. Philip, what would you do if you were the presidente?
What I do with the president, I get the Republicans out.
Damn, all right. We got one more volunteer. I want
¿Dónde
to see
están las mujeres?
a female identified. Okay, we got one in the back, my hand. Por favor. También. A ver, para acá, sí. Let's go, we got 2 volunteers. Hey, can you tell everybody your name, por favor?
Cecilia.
Cecilia,
Sí.
what would you do if you were president for one day and you could do one thing?
I would make sure no one goes hungry.
Can we give it up for Cecilia, y'all? Yes, you can.
Que tengas un buen noche.
Hey, gracias, compañera. All right. Un aplauso para el voluntario aquí. A round of applause for our last volunteer, please. Por favor. Órale, compañera. What, your name, please?
Lupita.
Lupita. What would you do if you were president?
Mejor pago para los maestros, que sea en la educación, porque la educación empieza desde la temprana edad y no nos están poniendo mucha atención a los maestros.
More, I would pay the teachers. I'll have better education, especially for the young ones right here. También. Gracias, compañera. All right. I like how I'm feeling. I'm feeling all warm inside. So I want to keep that going. All right. You know what? The bassist never gets love. The bassist never gets love. Eddie, you down? You down? Are we down for the bassist right here, y'all? Are we down? All right, Eddie. Come on, baby. What you got? Come on, baby.
At my inauguration, I'll burn tobacco at the opening. Give thanks and praise to the Creator and all living things. First thing, I sit you down with your abuelita, rewrite history so our citizens see what we came through, like destiny from Clinton to Cali, going pure and free. I'll come into peace about guns and the black racks. Budget cuts to corporate kickbacks. If I was president, then still be drama. Takes a village to heal our generational trauma. So shake your spine, put your hands up high. We got a different kind of party in the White House tonight. If I was president, what would I do? If you was president, how about you? If you was president, what would you do? If it was you,
Everybody, come on.
Me gusta la lima, me gusta el limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción. Me gusta la lima, me gusta el limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción.
Everybody, it's 2020, y'all. We got 4 days to the caucus, y'all. We got 4 days. Our life is in our hands. We can't blame nobody. We can't look to nobody to do the work for us. Our life is in our hands. So I need everybody, put your hands up high like this. Put your beautiful hands high, right here. And let the world know what it sounds like when we come together, right here. Like that. Come on. I want to see everybody clapping right now. Everybody on your feet. Everybody on your feet. Come on. I want to hear y'all clapping. Come on. Take it away. Hey.
Si yo fuera presidente para toda la gente.
Tell us, Carlos.
Si yo fuera presidente para toda la gente. Si yo fuera presidente para toda la gente. Si yo me gusta la lima, me gusta el limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción. Me gusta la lima, me gusta el limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción. Me gusta la
If you
lima, me
believe in
gusta el
love,
limón, pero
if you know that we can do better, and if you think Bernie can help us get there, I want to see your hands up, y'all. Come on.
Me gusta la lima, me gusta el limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción. Me gusta la lima, me gusta el limón, pero no me gusta tanta corrupción.
Órale.
Muchas gracias.
How much time we got back there, my peoples? I think we got like 2 minutes, but I think we're good. I think we're good. What do y'all think? Hey, you know what? Hold on, I think we're going to let the speakers come, and then we're going to end the party dancing. I think that we're going to do that. ¿Quieren llorar o quieren bailar? Los dos, pues, órale. Hey. Oh, ¿quieren una más? ¿Una más? ¿Qué dice, compañero? ¿Una más? Órale. All right, I'm down with that. One more? Okay. All right. Let's do one more. When my dad first came to this country, he didn't know any English, but he knew all the words to Motown songs. He could sing all of Al Green's album. He would rock out to James Brown in that beautiful, beautiful accent that he had. And so that's how we grew up. We Chicano kids who grew up in LA. And I think some of y'all grew up the same way, listening to this kind of music too. Because we ain't that different. Oh, yeah. And if you know this song, I want y'all to sing along.
was his name.
That was his name.
When he gets elected,
Hey,
we'll never be the same. 'Cause I love my Theo.
yeah.
And Bernie, where can you be?
Where are you, Bernie?
Where can you be, Bernie?
We want everybody right now singing along. Come on, here we go. Theo Bernie.
Theo Bernie, Theo Bernie, Theo Bernie, Theo Bernie.
That's right. You know what, Iowa?
What's that?
I know that. What all those other states be saying about us? Just 'cause they jealous? Just 'cause they're not able to caucus Monday nights doesn't mean you're not the state I want to hold tight. Let me tell you a little bit more right here. See, I can be the arroz, you can be the beans. I can't cook, but damn it, I can
Ooh,
clean.
I like that.
You like that, Carlos?
I like that.
Then let's keep it going right here. All right. I can be the cherry, you can be the cake. You could be the licuado, and I can be the shake.
Whoa.
I can be the chips, you can be the salsa. You could be the tamal, and I can be the masa. All right. I think I got one more. I think I got one more. Here we go. You can be the yin, I can be the yang. You can be the ting, I can be the tang. You can be the Mexi, I can be the can. 'Cause when it's hella hot, yo.
I'm your biggest fan.
It's getting hot in here. But you know what, Iowa? There's one thing I need you to know. It's more important than silver or than gold. If you knew this, everything would just disappear. It don't even matter no more. In Iowa, if you could deliver me that caucus on Monday, I would be here next Sunday, if you know what I mean. See, because at the end of the day, I think we can last an eternity. I don't think you heard me. Because at the end of the day, I think we can last. ¡Que viva Tío Bernie! ¡Órale!
Muchas gracias, Iowa.
We'll see everybody at the end because we're going to party all our way out of here. All right.
BernieSanders.com and create an account. And it is only with your help that we will elect Senator Bernie Sanders as the next president of the United States of America.
How about Las Cafeteras? Can we hear it one more time for them? Next up to the podium, let's give a big Bernie 2020 welcome to the co-chair and co-founder of the Latino Arts Initiative, Amner Martinez.
Hello, hello. Las Cafeteras, oh my God. Let's give them a round of applause. That's a hard act to follow, so I just have a few words. I want to thank you, Las Cafeteras, and the Bernie campaign for inviting me, and a huge thank you to the first lady of the next first lady of the United States, Jane Sanders. Yes, my name is Amner Martinez. I am a permanent resident, so I cannot caucus or I cannot vote. My wife, Laura, she's undocumented. We have 3 children, Isabella, Luca, and Azul, and all we're trying to do is secure a good future for our children. So that's why we get involved and we're trying to be here. We feel it's a duty for us to be here. There's still a lot of work to be done, and so the fight is just getting started. It's taken us decades to get to this point, so it's going to take a long time to get back on track. It's going to be a lot of work, but Bernie Sanders can get us on the right track. America's face is changing, and it won't stop changing. And that's okay. It's all of us here. Yes, it's you, it's you, it's you. All colors, genders. Bernie Sanders' movement from this point on will put any politician on notice that if you want to get elected, you need to come and talk to the new face of America. As we look back, we always say that history will judge you. We all know the history of this country and the world, and we know that where people stand when it came to making a decision and being on the right side of history. On the other side of town, there's a rally going on tonight. And one day, people that support Trump and are turning a blind eye to his actions will have to come face to face with their past and come clean to their children and their grandchildren and explain to them where they stood when it came time to decide to do the right thing. But worry not, we're at the right place tonight. We're here tonight supporting the next president of the United States, Bernie Sanders. As one of my favorite recent presidents, great president of Uruguay, Pepe Mujica, said, "We live in the age of individualism. We only care about me and what I want and what I need. We don't care about anybody else. And we've forgotten something about us, something about our humanity." And as we know firsthand, what the president says and what the president does matters, and it filters down into our culture and into our minds. But finally, we have a candidate in Bernie Sanders that has compassion and empathy, and most importantly, he has a plan to pivot our minds away from individualism and help us rise together as a race. I want to thank all of you for showing up tonight for this great event. And I want to special thank you to the next First Lady of the United States, Jane Sanders, for making time tonight and come speak with us. And as Antonia said, there's a lot of work to be done. So please, let's not leave any rock unturned. Thank you.
Our next speaker might only be 23, but he's already accomplished so much. Known for creating top charting mobile apps as a teenager to provide for his family during the Great Recession, please put your hands together for entrepreneur Michael Saman.
Hola, buenas todos. Is it okay if I do a little bit in Spanish? Okay. Pues, mi nombre es Michael Simon. Mi mamá y mi papá es de Bolivia, mi mamá es de Perú. My name is Michael Simon. My mom is from Peru. My dad is from Bolivia. And they came to the United States to start a small Peruvian chicken restaurant. They came here to seek the American dream, right? And más que nada lo que querían era cumplir un sueño, crear su empresa, tener un negocio propio, poder tener un futuro, ¿no? Y bueno, the recession hit when I was around 12, and it wasn't very easy. No nos esperábamos lo que iba a pasar. We didn't expect what would happen. Mientras todo eso pasaba en mi familia, yo me interesaba un montón jugar juegos en la computadora. While all that was happening in my family, I loved playing computer games. And I learned little by little how to make apps for fun. I thought, this would be great, exciting. And little by little, I realized I started making money. My mom was like, Michael, what are you doing? I was 13 at the time, and she was very worried about what was going on. I explained to her that I had built this app. And so she asked me, well, what are you going to do with this money? And I said, well, all I really want is a new computer, so maybe I can make a few more apps. And I don't know, I guess I don't really need anything else. At that point, I decided to use the rest of the money to help my parents pay for those bills. And we spent time trying to figure out how to use that money to do that. And it wasn't really enough. So I thought, okay, I got this. I can make a few more apps. So maybe I spent a little bit less time in school, a little bit less time doing homework, and I decided to try and make some more apps. We have to figure out how to pay for these bills. So I did that, started making more apps. But it got a little bit harder, and the competition got tougher. Businesses started joining in, and the competition got tough, and we were making less money. And I told my mom, I didn't know what to do. Y pues ella me dice, Michael, no sé qué hacer. The situation was getting worse and worse, and soon enough, our home was under foreclosure, and we were looking at maybe they were going to have to close down the restaurant. And I remember very clearly my mom and I coming home from the restaurant very late, like 1:30 in the morning. My mom has lots of ideas to try and make the restaurant better, redesign it, maybe different color, anything. And we get home, and she has to look at her son, who's 15, and say, no sé qué hacer. I don't know what to do. Do you think we can use the last bit of that money to maybe get a lawyer? Someone told me maybe we can save the house. Do you think we can do this? I didn't know what to say. I was worried about my own future in college too, was approaching. I didn't know how I was going to pay for that. And my family didn't know what to do either. And so I told my mom, let's do it. Let's try and save this house. And we used the last $4,000 that we had left in that from those apps, and we tried to save the house. And a few months later, we got an eviction notice, and we had to leave. One by one, many of my neighbors had the same experience. Other kids on the block had to leave. This is something really hard for kids of my generation to deal with. A lot of us went through this. Un montón de nosotros inmigrantes latinos pasamos por esto. Niños que tenemos que ayudar a nuestros padres para sobrevivir estas cosas, estos problemas que tenemos en la familia, things that we have to do to help our parents survive in these times. Well, I'm here today because no kid should have to go through this. Ni un niño en este país merece tener una vida así. No debe de ser esto, no es justo, no es correcto. El daño que nos hace de niños, tener estas preocupaciones, tener que pensar en cómo pagar para tener comida, seguro médico, no es justo, no es justo. Y por eso estoy aquí. I'm here because when I think back to my childhood and the childhood of so many other kids like me, I don't see much childhood. I don't see much joy in just asking ourselves, what are we going to be when we grow up? We don't get to ask that. We don't get to think about what dreams we're going to have. We have to worry about surviving. This American dream, we were promised an American dream. We need an American dream. And we have to fight for that American dream. And so I'm here supporting Bernie Sanders. He understands. He understands this because he's lived through some of these experiences. He understands this because he knows that true freedom, libertad, una libertad en verdad, no existe. Si un niño tiene que estar pensando en cómo pagar las deudas de la casa, cómo pagar las tarjetas de crédito, the overdraft fees, $35 every week, that is not true freedom. Bernie Sanders is here. Bernie Sanders understands. He's fighting to try and give us that true freedom. And so, I ask you here today, please come out in Caucus on Monday at 6:30, at 6. Bring your friends. Traigan su familia, sus hermanos, sus tíos, sus primos. Porque vamos a ganar. Si vienen todos, vamos a ganar. Muchas gracias.
You know her as an educator, a social worker, a mother, and a grassroots activist. But tonight, we are so proud to introduce her as the next First Lady of the United States. Please put your hands together for Dr. Jane Sanders.
Everybody, hi, thank you, thank you. Oh, thanks so much. Oh, thank you. It's great to be back in Des Moines, Iowa. It's good to be among friends. I want to thank Antonia, Amner, Michael, and the amazing band Las Cafeteras. I was working on my speech backstage and was dancing while I was reading, and I thought, boy, that would be a great background music to a speech. But they're amazing. And Michael, that speech was so poignant and so true. It's a message that needs to be put out there. It's an honor to be here representing my husband, Bernie Sanders. He really wished he could be here tonight. Unfortunately, he had to be there to carry out his constitutional obligation for the impeachment trial. So he will hopefully get to Iowa sometime this weekend, but we don't know. In this campaign, we've been building a multiracial, two words together, a multiracial, multi-generational campaign. And it's a working class movement for change. It's a movement that challenges Donald Trump's hatred and bigotry and instead celebrates our nation's diversity. Let's all remember that this country is a nation of immigrants. Everybody except Native Americans came from somewhere else. And as a matter of fact, mine came from Ireland, and somewhere, and I don't know where, some of my family is here, and I'd like to introduce you to three people that are very important to Bernie and me. Our son, Dave, and his two children, our grandchildren, Ella and Dylan. Bernie's father came here to the United States from Poland. He was 17 years old, and he didn't have any money, and he had very few skills. But he made a life for himself. He paid taxes, he worked hard. He didn't have an education either at that point. He was like 8th grade, which was not uncommon in that part of the world at that time. But he built a life for himself and his family, and he worked very hard to create a future for his and his wife's two sons, Bernie and his brother Larry. That's what immigrants, families across America and here in Iowa today are doing, the exact same thing. This is the story of America, but it is a story now under attack, and we can't let that stand. Now, you've probably heard and seen dozens of candidates making vague promises of immigration reform. But in light of the harm President Trump has done to immigrants, now isn't the time for gradualism or generalities. It's time for immediate action and specificity. So let me tell you a little bit about what Bernie is going to do when he's president. First and foremost, when Bernie is in the White House, we are going to stop ripping families apart at the border. And we will endeavor to reunite the children separated from their parents by the United States government and make sure they're reunited swiftly, including those who have been unjustly deported. We're going to close detention centers, and there will be an immediate review of the standards for any facilities that house children. As president, Bernie will stop construction on Trump's border wall. Now, I don't know how many of you saw the recent pictures, but our great builder, he has this wall, and he's been telling us he's such a great builder. Well, it fell over. Anyway, I'll just leave that there. We will also allow asylum seekers to make their claims in the United States, which is their legal right. When it comes to the 11 million undocumented brothers and sisters, Bernie will put an immediate moratorium on deportations. And he will complete a thorough audit of current and past practices. And Bernie will use his constitutional authority to remove barriers to legal status and citizenship for as many undocumented people as possible. That is the history of America. So importantly, probably most importantly, he will bring a halt to the ICE raids that are terrorizing people all over this country, including here in Iowa. He will also ensure that immigration policy isn't being used by corporations to exploit workers on both sides of the border. And this focus on the workplace is important because this is where immigrants are often being taken advantage of. Unfortunately, one such example is Donald Trump. He demonizes immigrants, and yet he has no problem hiring undocumented workers to work at his hotels or exploit workers on his golf course, taking advantage of some of the most vulnerable workers to increase his profits. That's going to end when Bernie becomes president. We will ensure farm workers and domestic workers are afforded the same standards as all workers, including the right to overtime pay and the right to join a union. So as you know, this campaign is of, by, and for the working class, not the billionaires. And our agenda works and represents the working class in so many different ways. Bernie's agenda is supported by millions of Americans who know it's not radical to have universal health care like every other industrialized country in the world. Bernie's agenda is supported by millions of people who know that education must be accessible to everyone. And it's supported by millions of Americans who know that people cannot live on starvation wages. We are going to raise the minimum wage to $15 all across this country. And we're going to start making large, profitable corporations like Amazon pay their fair share in taxes. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Bernie the man. I met Bernie in 1981 when I was a community organizer and he was running for mayor. The neighborhood groups organized a debate, and the first time I heard him speak, I just fell in love with his ideas. Later on, the man. But he seemed to embody all that I ever believed in. He seemed to understand the struggles I was going through. And it felt incredible in that audience. Now, as we campaign across this country, I've recognized that response. From people as they listen to him at events, they're feeling the same thing I felt in 1981. And it makes me so incredibly proud to be at his side. As someone who has known Bernie for 40 years, I can tell you that he is as honest as the day is long and as consistent as the sun rises. I can tell you that he still embodies everything I believed in. And I'm really proud not only to be at his side professionally, but to share my life with him as a husband and to see him be an incredible father and grandfather and an example of how to lead a meaningful life and one built on vision and purpose and care and compassion. So I recommend you support him. That might come as a surprise. Anyway, I think it's important for voters to know that, because I believe we need a president who not only says the right things today, but who has a record that demonstrates that he will follow through and deliver once he's in the White House. And that is exactly who Bernie is and who he has always been. The Bernie Sanders who, as a college student, was arrested for protesting segregated housing in the community and at the University of Chicago, is the same Bernie Sanders now, and the President Bernie Sanders that will fight institutional racism, reform our criminal justice system, and enact a humane immigration policy. The Bernie Sanders who, as mayor, was very frugal with taxpayers' money and yet increased and expanded city services to deal with quality of life issues by starting a youth office, an arts council, a women's council, and a community and economic development office at very low property tax rates, not eschewing the one that was planned when he got elected. He will be the President, Bernie Sanders, who delivers a Green New Deal and transitions our economy to renewable energy and fights climate change. The Senator, Bernie Sanders, who fought bipartisan efforts to cut Social Security, will be the President, Bernie Sanders, that will not merely stop future cuts to Social Security, but will expand that program so that all Americans can retire with dignity. Yeah. And the Bernie Sanders who fought to protect family farms in Vermont will be the President, Bernie Sanders, who takes on the agribusiness monopolies that are hurting farmers and farm workers in Iowa and across the country. The Bernie Sanders who showed the courage and the judgment to lead the fight and vote against the Iraq War will be the President, Bernie Sanders, who finally ends endless wars. Yeah. He will focus on rebuilding our international alliances by creating a foreign policy built on peace and cooperation rather than military adversity. Yeah. And the Bernie Sanders, who has funded all his campaigns by grassroots donations, thank you all very much, will be the President, Bernie Sanders, who overturns Citizens United. In other words, Bernie's long and consistent track record as a champion for the multiracial, multi-generational, working class is unflinching. That's why I and millions of his supporters know that amidst the continued onslaught of corporate lobbying, special interests, and a corrupt political system, he will stand steadfast in fighting for us. We trust him because of the moral clarity Bernie has shown over the course of his lifetime. So this campaign's motto, as you know, is not me, us. And that means our movement is bigger than Bernie, bigger than any one campaign, bigger than the presidency. Our movement is about America's future. Transformational change will take place and will only take place if we stand together, united by a common purpose, a coherent vision, and a robust policy framework. Individuals across this country ready to work tirelessly to build the future we want is the foundation of our grassroots movement. So my request to you is simple. Keep door knocking, keep phone banking, keep texting, and keep working as hard as you can. It's not just about you caucusing. It's your family, your friends, your neighbors. Don't just ask them to caucus, bring them with you. We are in this together, and together we can create real and lasting change, not only for the country today, but for future generations. This is our moment. Let's do it. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Now, please help me welcome Las Cafeteras to come back to the stage. Thank you.
All right, all right. Check. All right, this is a move. This is a migrant song. This is a movement song. Because you cannot have a movement without movement. It's a scientific impossibility. So right here, raise your hand if you're born in Iowa. Yeah. Raise your hand if you're born outside Iowa. Yeah. We come from many different places, spaces, faces. And so this is a migrant song for all the people who've been moving right here. And there's a saying, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with familia. Here we go. for Caucus. Put your hands higher.
Seguir así. Sueño estar junto a ti en tiempo de dolor, con frío, con calor. Cruzaría montañas para alcanzar tu amor. Morirías a nacer en los campos y el desierto. No me puede detener. Es sufrir el pensamiento. Here we go, come on.
All right, y'all. If you love your mama, I want to see your hands high.
No puedo seguir así. Sueño estar junto a ti en tiempo de dolor, con frío, con calor. Cruzaría montañas para alcanzar tu amor. La la la. La la la. Come on. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Nací de mi madre, yo nací de la flor, yo nací de la tierra, tengo el mismo color. Yo nací.